Hi and welcome to Star Conflict Tutorials. In this episode, piloting techniques and target lock-on routines. For starters, let's discuss evasion. I hope it is pretty obvious that the higher the speed and the steeper your trajectory is, the harder it is for the enemy to hit you. The first and easiest way to do this is to engage your afterburners, also known as turbo, from time to time. The afterburners can be activated with the shift key or toggled on or off with the Z key. This device increases your speed and makes you turn sharper, but also depletes your energy. Use it in mobile combat situations, especially when closing in on your target or when trying to get away from pursuit. The second way to do this is to move in a spiral. Just move your cursor in a circle-like pattern while flying. The lead marker of your enemies will move very chaotically and will seriously hinder their aim on you. Finally, you can strafe. The horizontal strafe is controlled by A and D keys, vertical strafe by Alt key and spacebar. By combining strafing, afterburners, and spiral flight, you will turn into a mighty difficult target. If done right, the lead marker of your enemies will become erratic to the point of being useless. We've got some bad news though. When you fly like this, you won't hit anything either, so this maneuvering is only good when you really need to save your skin. If you want to retaliate with any degree of accuracy while staying mobile and difficult to target, you will require some advanced maneuvering. If you're tailing an enemy, try and combine vertical strafing and banking your aircraft with Q and E keys. This will make you travel in a spiral pattern, but you will still be able to engage your targets fairly accurately. There is only one drawback to this though. To achieve maximum speed, you will need to use both your regular throttle and afterburners. So, if you don't want to use 4 buttons at the same time, you better toggle the afterburners on with a Z key. Just don't forget to disable it in time not to deplete your energy completely in a fight. Maneuverable ships can also do the trick called orbiting. You do this by holding the enemy in your sights at all times while flying around him at high speed and using your strafe, kind of like an orbiting satellite. While doing so, you are extremely hard to kill, while you can continue dishing out damage. If your ship is big and slow, you stand no chance in such dogfighting. But the space is full of various structures and asteroids that can be used as cover. Use your strafing and afterburners, as this combo can make you fly fast in any direction, including side movement. Pop out from behind cover, take a shot, and then dash back in cover. This is especially useful when capturing beacons, because you can capture the beacon and use it as cover at the same time. Use of cover is an important part of combat tactics for any type of ship in space. The interceptors and fighters can use cover to dodge a missile, or if lucky, make their pursuing enemy smash himself into some object. Heavy frigates can use cover to protect their sides and rear, preventing faster and smaller enemies from attacking them from behind or performing orbiting against them. A solid piece of cover is invaluable for snipers in space. You can zoom in your camera with a B key and use some long-range gun against far-out targets. But remember that zooming in seriously reduces your field of view, making you vulnerable to attack from a side. Now, let's talk target lock-on. By default, the game has auto lock-on enabled. All you have to do is hold your sight on the enemy for a few seconds, and that takes care of that. Just fire and watch your missile track the target. This feature can also be used to direct your offensive special abilities at your targets. Earlier, we have mentioned that experienced pilots disable auto lock-on and manually select their targets with an R key, but why, you ask? Well, it allows you to sneak up on the enemy before locking on and firing, because a successful lock-on too early gives you away and gives the target time to use return lock-on. By default, this function does not have a key assigned, but we highly recommend you assign a key to that and practice with it. When can we use this return lock-on, which is listed as lock who's locking you in options? Well, what if you need to lose an opponent tailing you? You certainly won't be able to lock on him normally because you're not facing your target, but you can use return lock-on if your enemy is locked on you. This gives you an opportunity to use some offensive module to blind or stun your enemy. If you look through options, you can find a few more useful things, such as lock on ally's target or cancel lock. The last option might seem silly at first, but only if you forget that an enemy can lock back at you in response. Now, there's another important function that you won't find in your controls options. Have you ever noticed that in random combat the game tells you everyone eyes on something? And then, there's a big red marker pointing at that player for the entire team to see. This can be made with a double tap of an R key. This is very useful to focus fire of your team on some specific enemy. If you check the interface options, I am sure you will be tempted to modify everything to your liking, but don't get carried away. If you enable auto afterburners, you will not be able to manage your energy and will die needlessly as a result. Also, do not overload your HUD with extra information you don't need. What you really need, though, is to know the enemy ship type, a distance to him, so that you can properly prioritize targets in battle and decide at what range to engage them. By the way, remember that your projectiles do only 70% damage if fired at their maximum distance. Just close in for 500 meters or so, and you will dish out much more damage. You can also modify your minimap to make it 2D or 3D. A 3D minimap has limited radius, but gives you a more accurate designation of where your closest enemies are. A flat 2D minimap provides a wider perspective of the map, but without intricate detailing of the former option. I guess you should decide what works best for you in this regard. Most of even the top players have heated argument over which minimap is best. Finally, you have crosshairs. If you lose the sight of your crosshairs during various maneuvers or combat, you can make your crosshairs bigger and change their color. This is it for today's episode. Next time, we're going to talk about ships of all of the game's factions, their combat application, and proven tactics for main PvP modes. Good luck in space!